Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon, here on Squidcraft, Liara's patron server. So last episode we went and mostly automated this moss farm, and did up quite a bit of the base terraforming around my base, and as you can see I have made it so that this thing is more or less fully automated. I finally figured out how to add in a water dispenser here to clean up moss carpets, because my non-water solutions weren't working, and it works wonderfully. I now have about 2 shulkers worth of moss, and that should be plenty to keep me busy for terraforming for a little bit. So now if we go and turn this noisemaker off, we can come out here and see what we have to do. So although most of the base terraforming here is done, so all of the moss, roads, and paths that we still have quite a bit of detail work. So all of the plants and various decorations. Now we do have a few buildings around, but those are mostly service buildings for our various farms. Oh, and while we were gone, our turtle hatched. One of them anyway. The other one still doesn't have a single crack in it. Yes, hi you. Why are you so far away from the pond? Anyway, rogue turtles aside, we still have all of the bridges to put in, so we're not leaping over our rivers every time our road comes across them. And I've got a few ideas for that. But we also have, and I also want to get in a few little fountains here and here. Maybe a statue or two if I feel like it. And somewhere along here, I want to put a little gazebo. I'm leaning towards a flat area that is right outside the flower farm, but I'm not quite sure. But I've got time to figure that out, because I think the first thing I want to do is work on the fountains, because those are already marked out, and with those in, that will, well, mostly complete the area from this river here around the lake up and around to the smaller lake up there that we got in between episodes, and along that river right along there that flows into that lake. Now obviously there's still some moss and a little bit of road to put in, but at least the part that is north, I think it is, of the bee farm will be complete. And then we just have a little bit of terraforming that we've already done to do. So now what I'm thinking for this is just kind of like a rough little circle. It's more of a diamond really, if I'm being honest. And I think I need to get some more endstone out. Alright, so endstone acquired, because I don't want to cover up any of the blocks that I used for terraforming, because I don't have all that many of most of them. And several of them I can't actually get out here very easily. So let's replace these corners, and we have cut sandstone for the outer walls of this. I need to get some regular sandstone for the floor in here. But before we put that in, we need to get our centerpiece, which is going to go right here. So what I'm thinking for that is we're just going to do end rod, iron bar. I'm going to put a temporary solid block there. 1 handle. Break those. And end rod. And I think that that is going to look rather nice and fancy for the middle block of our fountain. Alright, so the floor now replaced with sandstone. We can now waterlog the candle. And there we go. 1 small little fountain. Now I want to put some white candles along the edges here. And I think that's about it. And it's just a simple little pattern. I didn't want anything too complicated. And I quite like how it looks. And I think we might repeat this a couple more times throughout the base, and some occasions I might change out the outer stones and maybe change up the center pillar a bit. Although there's not many blocks that are super thin like this, that we can line up perfectly with the textures, like how the end rods line up with the iron bars. I suppose we can add in some copper, what are they? Lightning rods, that's what it is, to fit into there. I think a fence post might be too big, but we can try working with those as well. And this is just really simple little fountain. Now, a second type of fountain I want to do is ones like this, which flow into our rivers. Which for those, I'm not quite sure as to what I want to do for the ground. Whether to make it like the other fountains, make it something special just for the in-river fountains, or just pattern it like the rest of the river. What I do know, though, is what I want for the center bit. So we've got an iron bar on the bottom, an iron bar connecting to a gray candle, or light gray specifically, and then we're going to have two end rods right in the middle facing each other. And then for these, instead of waterlogging the candle, we'll waterlog the iron bar, and I suppose that looks okay. We do need to get this bottom part in. I guess since it flows into the river, we might as well just do the same river texture. I think that will be easier than trying to find a different material to work in there. And I'm not sure that sandstone, like the other fountain, is the right material for this one. And there we go. That is those blocks patterned to be the same as the rest of the river. So let's take a look at these from the natural viewing point of this roof. Apparently, I get a really good view of this area from up here. Yeah, I suppose those look kind of good. We definitely need them elsewhere in the base than just right in that one area. I think maybe we need a small fountain or something. Actually get something, so actually I have crosshairs to point here. Right over in there. In that area next to the bee farm, between the cocoa bean farm and the lake. I think that could be a statue, maybe? It could also be that I'm being thrown off by the fact that there's no trees at all on here. So we have a very flat area, or at least one that appears flat from a distance. I think we definitely need like a fountain or a statue or something right in that area. Okay, so the next little bit I want to do is a little statue. Now, this isn't going to be quite big enough to fit into this space over here. This is definitely going to require either a decent-sized fountain or statue, and I haven't quite figured out how I want that to look yet. But this little statue is one that I think we can probably place right here. Now what I want to do is if I can, yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have a pack on here that has a bunch of information about the game using armor stands and a white banner. So if we give that guy a banner, we should see, should be seeing the information. Apparently it's not working right now. But what's supposed to happen is if we give it that banner, it should display some information based on the different poses. And I kind of want it to display the number of days we've been in game. Or at least that the server has been up. Alright, so I've tried quite a few different things, and unfortunately the pack doesn't seem to be working right now. I've tried everything that I can think of to get it to work, and nothing. So we are going to leave that there. I do need to get some armor for it, but fortunately, we have plenty of leather from killing mushrooms for food, so I can easily just grab up a set of leather armor, dye it gray, I guess, and go from there. Although, let's see, what do we have in terms of mob heads to stick on this thing? If stone mini... oh. Well, that works perfectly. So, we still have to dye the armor, but I think that looks quite nice for a little statue. And once we actually get it on the right setting, should be quite comical with its position. Also, there will be a blue band displaying information. Now, the next thing on my list to do is the bridges. And we might as well do these ones over here because we've got two that we need in short succession. Now what I'm thinking for these bridges is we're just gonna kind of use campfires. Gonna try and change up how these are placed so that we don't have all one texture going across. And I think we're just gonna keep going with the 3 wide for the road. And I can't see what I'm doing here because of all the smoke. So let's see, shovel, let's extinguish all of these. And that's better. Now I can actually see the shape of this and where we need to put the other campfires. And I don't think that one needs to go that way. Let's do that. Yeah, it looks about right. And I think we just need one more right here to finish this simple little log bridge. I might add in a couple trapdoors at some point later. I think those should help provide some texture to these. Although I think the campfires on their own have enough of that, so I might not. This does look like a plank bridge, or somewhat of one. And we're just gonna kind of use these for really all of the dirt path bridges, I think. I don't see any reason not to. The only issue is that I have no villagers of my own. And these require quite a bit of resources to craft if you don't have villagers. So I might see if I can put in a request at the job tavern, or maybe see if there's a fisherman villager in town that has them, and see if someone can't get us some more, because I am currently out. But I think for the little dirt pathways, those will work. Now for the bigger rivers, or at least the ones with the main road going over them, we're going to need something a little different, something a little fancier. So what I'm thinking is stone brick. So I think I'm just going to turn the moss at the edge of the river where it meets the road into stone bricks. And then we're going to try to kind of do an arch bridge up and over this river. It's not going to go very high because it's not a very wide river. So it's going to look mostly flat. And I think something roughly like that. I think there's probably some more spots I need to add blocks to. But I don't think that that is that bad. We may have to add some stairs so we don't have to jump up on top of it. Or you know what? We can just put slabs instead. And I think that that looks much better. I think we probably need another slab there. But other than that, I think that's good. We might need some stairs to give it a little bit of support on the edges. But other than that, I think that'll do well for our main road bridges, which leaves us with just the trees and such to get in and the gazebo. Alright, so I think I figured out the problem with our statue, and that is that I need to have the pack activated on my end for it to display on here, even though the pack is active on the server. And I don't think that's a horrible statue. I might mess around with what some of the other things that we can do with it. We've got over 9,000 games in day. Wow. Or games in day? Days in game. Wow. But our next project is, I think, going to be over in front of the flower farm area. And what I want to do is I want to put a little gazebo somewhere over here. Let's see, do we have enough space? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have barely enough space next to this section here, which we could trim this a bit. So I think that we're going to put it in the first area. Yeah, we're going to put it over here so we get the view over the lake, which we should hopefully have a turtle in there at some point. Our other one is in the second lake over there, and this egg has finally started cracking. So hopefully it will hatch soon, and then we'll have both turtles out here. And this way it also putting it in this space also fills this area here in, and also puts the gazebo kind of close to our main road. So what I'm thinking is we want a little bit of boundary, so edge is going to be there, and then we will have a circle with a diameter of 9. Oh, it's a very simple one, so just a thing of 5, 1 block in the corners, and then the other side there. So with our base platform in, we can add the railings, which I think we're just going to do birch fences. It's simple enough that it will work, and it makes this whole thing look like it's all one piece. Then to connect the base to the roof, we need to go up by 2 on the corners, which that's not the right block. Let's switch that over and actually make sure we use the right tool. Alright, so those pillars are going to support a strip birch frame, which if we hop up here and place that one in, we're just going to have wood and logs here, which just need to be stripped. And we're just going to make these be the beams for supporting the roof. On the edge pieces here, I want the logs to be all one direction, so it looks like it's one solid log. And that was not going the right way. Let's try, and there we go. Now, on the corners here, I want to do the logs going vertically, since we can't make it look like it's just one log that is all connected for the corners here. And I wonder, did they ever fix the bug where you can't strip wood? They did. Oh, that's going to be so nice. We can just craft wood directly and not have to strip it all beforehand. Excellent. That will make building this up so much easier if I can actually stay on it. So the base ring of strip birch in, we can now start placing the stairs for the roof. And I've gone with prismarine brick because I'm hoping it will stand out against the rest of the background of basically light brown off-white and green. I tried a variety of different materials, and this was one of the ones that I liked best. So we're going with it. I might use some of the other ones for other gazebos elsewhere in the base, but this one is going to be prismarine brick. Now, I'm also not sure if I'm going to build another one elsewhere. This might just be a one-off building, which it might be nice just to have a few of those instead of just having same or similar decorations around the place. Now, coming up from the corners of this, we're going to have more strip birch, but I'm going to mark those out as dirt for now because it will be easier to put those in once the next layer of the roof is done. And the reason for that is because if I were to put the strip birch in now, it'd be going horizontal, and I want the vertical orientation for this because I feel like that would be better. And there we go. There is the entire roof in with all of the supports, and I'm pretty happy with it. There's one spot on the roof that I don't like, but there's not really any way for me to get around it because Minecraft circles after a while will just become, one block wide, and we need to jump in the light to get away from that Enderman. Oh, hey, our other egg hatched. Perfect, now we can actually take down this structure here, since we no longer need something to protect turtle eggs from Endermen if there's no turtle eggs to protect. But with the main structure of the gazebo done, there's one more thing to add, beyond probably some hidden lighting in the middle of it, or maybe a lantern hanging from the top, is some seating. And what we're going to do is we're going to just do some spruce benches out of stairs and slabs, just because it's what I have a lot of, and I like these spruce trapdoors. So I think that looks pretty good. I don't really like how big those are, but short of getting a bunch of mini blocks out here, I don't think we have much other choice. I would really like for these to be half the height, but the number of mini blocks I'd need to construct these smaller would be quite a bit, and I don't want to have to deal with all of the entities that those are. I suppose they are in fact proportional to the size of the gazebo, somewhat. But we have 3 little seats. You know what? This makes me want to put little simple benches or along the garden paths. Alright, so I've done a little bit of experimenting, and I think for these benches we're going to have a mix of these really, really simple 2 and 3 long benches. Not going to be anything special. They're just little seating for, I suppose, people to rest on while walking through the garden area. And they're just 2 upside down stairs, maybe a slab in the middle, and that's really about it. I don't see why they need to be any more complicated than that. Now the last thing that we need to add to this garden are all of the plants. And I've got a few ideas of what I want for those. But those are going to be a lot of very same and similar things repeated. So let me go get some examples built up and then I will be right back. Alright, so I got a little carried away doing the trees and such. What I initially planned was just to do this big one and a couple of these, but ended up just kind of terraforming this whole area with plants and maybe going a bit overboard with it. So as you can see, there are several sizes of plants that we have. We got some very big trees, we got some slightly smaller, a couple stick trees, and a couple little topiaries and bushes. Now I think what we're going to do is we're going to have these really big ones here in only a few places, like right here at the corner of the river, maybe one down there, and a couple other places, because these are really, really big. These are supposed to be really old, ancient trees that were here before the garden was built, and the garden was just kind of built around them. Now we're also going to have a couple of these, which you may recognize from my single player world. I decided to go with azalea leaves because they don't change color with the biome, and I also don't have any oak. But these are also going to go in here in a couple places where we need a big tree, but not a super big one. We also have a, Enderman on our tail. So I guess until they calm down, I'm going to be doing the rest of this from inside the lake. We also have a stick tree right there, which that is going to be just another layer of smaller tree. Go away, you. I'm trying to talk about these trees and you're in the way. And then we also have a couple topiaries, which are just small little trees that are just a single fence post and some leaves, like this one here. This is a bigger one, and we'll probably have a few of those scattered about. I might try and make one into an interesting shape with some mini blocks, so I'll have to play around with that. Now for ground cover, we have a couple 2 tall flowers, as well as some 1 tall ones. I think I may have gone a little bit overboard with those, so I may have to thin some of these out. And then we also have our bushes. Now we're just going to have some single ones scattered about. And these are also going to line most of our rivers. As some hedges, I'll probably put a few in the garden elsewhere just to divide up various areas. Maybe even put in a maze. That could be something fun to do. And I think that that is going to do it for the main bits of the garden. Now there is one more thing I want to put in here in terms of plants. If I can find a good spot for it. Let's do it right here near the entrance. And what this is going to be is, if I can jump on top of that fence so I can actually place them, is we're just going to kind of do a little floral arch. Now these are just going to be really simple birch fence structures underneath. And then we will hang some flowering azaleas and probably a few regular ones, so it's not just all one texture off of them. But I think we're going to go for mostly flowering, just because this is supposed to be for flowers. And we'll just kind of drape those down. We want to have at least 2 blocks under the arch so that we can cross under this. And I might raise that up another block just so we can have some longer droops of leaves. But I think that this is going to add some nice color and texture to the base and the paths. And I just think it's a nice little detail piece. And there we go. I think that that'll be nice just to walk under. I may add a bit of depth to the top, I think. Or let's just add a couple leaves to the top and see how that looks, because that might be all it's missing. And there we go. That looks a bit better. I think it probably needs another layer of leaves on top in some spots. I think that that should be nice. If you go and look, it looks like you would expect a overgrown floral arch to look. And I'm quite happy about that. I'm probably going to put a couple more of these elsewhere in the garden along the paths, probably at the entrances to new areas and such. But I think for now that is going to do it for decorations. Where did our other turtle go? It was over here. Oh well, it'll turn up eventually. That is going to be it for today. I still need to figure out how exactly I want to put these flowers in, because yeah, I think this is probably too much and too chaotic for what is supposed to be a garden. So I'm definitely going to have to mess around with that and how we're fitting in the different layers and everything else. This feels more like a custom flower forest than a garden, although I suppose garden, flower forest, not much difference. Could be an overgrown garden, but that would require me to go find like some sort of mossy stone for the benches and make the road more decrepit. And I don't really feel like building a ruins. Oh well, I'll figure it out between episodes at some point. But that is gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.